I often see in company constitutions a right to appoint alternate directors. So what are they, and what's some good practice around the appointment of alternate directors? So alternate directors are fundamentally directors who are put in place usually in companies where there's major shareholder interest being represented on the board. So the appointed director might not be available to attend a meeting or indeed a series of meetings, and under the Constitution they've got the right to put an alternate director to sit basically in their board seat. And this makes sure that the company's views are still represented around the boardroom table, and indeed they're included in a vote if there's a decision that needs to go to a vote. There's a really important thing to bear in mind though if you are an alternate director, and that is you've got the powers, duties and responsibilities at law like any other director. And similarly for the company, there's some important considerations to bear in mind, and I think they come from two perspectives. The first one is in terms of content for decision-making purposes. So someone who comes in as an alternate director to just one board meeting hasn't got the background of all the precursor information to that particular meeting. And indeed decisions, and particularly major decisions, usually don't occur just in isolation in one meeting. There's been a whole range of other information. The second is around the dynamic. And of course, boards form their own dynamic and their informal relationships between the directors, between directors and management. So someone who comes in just on an ad hoc basis is obviously going to change that dynamic, and that might impact on good communication and the way in which the discussion flows as well. So there's three things that I think are really useful practices for any companies that have got alternate directors or the Constitution allows for their appointment. And the first one is to be really clear on what the term of appointment is and the conditions that come with the appointment of an alternate director. So for example, is the alternate director just to be there for one meeting or a number of meetings? How long is their term of appointment to last for? And indeed, how is it to be terminated? What's the directors and officers insurance and the indemnities that go with the position, and what's the remuneration? How is it that that person's to receive board papers? And typically, alternate directors should be able to receive all board papers, not just the papers that relate to the meetings they attend, but that's something that should be clarified. The second one is, given that alternate directors have duties, liabilities and powers of directors, they should be well briefed on them, both by their appointing director company and also the company to which they are appointed. It's very important that people are aware of them, and that links in obviously with the D&O insurance and indemnities. And thirdly, there needs to be good communication between the appointed director and their alternate to make sure that they're well briefed before they go into a board meeting. If there's precursor information, it's good for them to know what the lead up to that decision is, what that information is, but also what are the perspectives of other directors and managers on that particular issue. And finally, if there's alternate directors provided for in your constitution, make sure you've ticked all the boxes in terms of requisite resolutions, that the alternate director has signed a consent to act, that ASIC's been notified, and in the case of listed companies, the ASX has also been notified.